Hello. At the start, I want to remind that the written version of the guide will be posted in the video description, like always. However, it won't be as detailed as the video one, because of limited space. If you struggle to replicate the build just from written guide, please watch the video. I will explain the build in more details. Today I will show you my new build for Legionnaire that you can use in Titan Hunt. Legionnaire has access to pretty much every archetype of the builds. There is plenty good builds to choose from. I really like builds around chaotic, so once again I made one using the chaotic, but this time combined with the Pestilence. This build focuses on late game damage, so I recommend using it in the base Titan Hunt level, maybe Sigil +1. Anything above that makes enemies unnecessarily tanky without giving us anything extra as a reward, because higher sigils don't increase amount of materials gained. Naturally, we run last sigil to have access to Void King and its powers and get all possible types of materials. Since we are not using any weapon specific skill, we have free choice at which weapon to pick. We can snapshot Disarray from Chaos skill. We want to have Shatter don't hit. We don't need weakness in this build, and we will be taking Sandstorms for extra hits, which also apply dazed. So that leaves first weapon, which gives us Swords of Exposed as the best choice. When it comes to runes, since I mostly make those builds as material farmers, I reserve 2 spots for material runes, material harvest and efficient extraction. Material harvest being better for regular materials, and material and efficient extraction being better for void essences, aka the boss parts. If you care about prestige levels, you can take Ardus Training over one of the materials runes. And third minor rune we take is Endless Refill, which provides us with extra rerolls and locks every cycle. If you don't care about materials or prestige levels and you are playing normal way, you can take reroll mastery to have even more rerolls, and unconventional start as a third option to start with skill that provides Disarray, so it's much easier to snapshot it. With major runes, this build uses quite a unique setup. We are using Devastating Blow to reduce amount of skills available to have higher chance that Chaotic will proc important skills. It also gives us huge damage bonus from Devastating trait, which can be scaled further. Second rune we take is Quality Standards. This rune makes so that we only have 2 options to pick from every time we level up, including picking new skills, but removes all white passives. Since we don't really need white passives in this build, this is actually a huge power boost, and since we use only 3 skills, finding proper one, even with the downside, shouldn't take that long. Next rune is Advanced Tactics, which gives us Source of Brittle. We want to have Brittle for the Colossal Titan power. And for the last rune I went with Multicast Mastery, as it double dips on stack skills and skills triggered by Chaotic and Multicast, giving slightly higher boost than Savage Pact, which is also a good option. For the skills, early on we want to take either Frenzied Bunnies or Chaos Golem to snapshot Disarray on hit. Once you take Disarray on hit once, you can replace the skill to proper one. Chaos Bolt is used pretty much solely as Chaotic support. Because of its long cooldown, it has 100% to trigger Chaotic, which can be scaled further. Chaotic works pretty much like skill chains, except it triggers a random skill, so in our case it will trigger one of other 2 skills, and skills triggered by it actually benefit from multicast, unlike ones triggered by skill chains. Like already mentioned, Pestilence is our main damage dealer. It is stack skill, which means it deals extra damage for each poison stack on a target. This is why we want to apply as many poison stacks as possible. I recommend taking any skill that applies poison as soon as possible and later replace it to Pestilence. This way you can have plenty of levels into poison on hit before actually finding the proper skill, so you don't need to worry that you found it later on. Our last skill is Flurry, which will be our poison stack generator. It hits 20 times in total, each hit being able to apply multiple poison stacks thanks to passives, and on top of that it provides form, enough to reach soft cap, giving us 800% extra crit chance, which is a huge damage boost. It also applies bleed, but we ignore that part. When it comes to skill passives, let's talk about each skill separately. For Chaos Bolt, since it's our chaotic support, we want to lower its cooldown as much as possible, so naturally attack speed passives are priority. Damage for it is completely useless, so we banish it, and since chaotic is triggered only from first cast, multicast for it is also useless, so we banish it as well. For Pestilence, since it's our main damage dealer, we obviously want to prioritize damage for it. Multicast is also a very good option for it, because this build is not generating finesse, so we don't have that many multicast and that much multicast. Attack speed for it is banished, because we trigger the Pestilence from chaotic so often that taking the passive for attack speed would be waste of points. And for the Flurry, which is our stack generator, we only care about multicast. It will give it more extra cast on average, meaning more poison stacks applied and more form generated. Since we will have a lot of extra area effect from Colossal, we can banish area effect passives to Flurry, and obviously damage passives for it are completely useless, so we banish those as well. We don't have that many group passives available in this build. Flurry and Chaos Bolt share physical and frontal attack, so we can take multicast to both of those. Ignore area effect and damage passives. And Pestilence and Chaos Bolt share magical attack, so we can take damage and multicast to those. Ignore area effect passives. For general offensive stats passives, naturally our top priority is cast frequency, to lower cooldown of Chaos Bolt further. You won't be able to reach lowest cooldown possible, so there won't be point at which it stops being our priority. After that, priority takes multicast, as we don't have good source of it in this build. Next is crit chance, and crit damage at the end. Damage, along with Leviathan and area of effect, are banished, because we get plenty of those from other sources. For defensive stats, I recommend taking movement speed until reaching around 250% extra, start ignoring it after. And when it comes to HP, we are able to get a lot of it very easily, thanks to our limited passive pool. Personally, I decided to take HP only when blue tier passive is available, giving me enough HP to not get one-shotted from things that are not boss attacks. And if you want to be more tanky, you can take HP more often. Armor and Block are banished, because later on enemies penetrate 19% of our defense. Since Magnet or XP passives don't work on the XP we got in the past, the earlier we take them, the stronger they are, or the more they give. I recommend prioritizing XP until you reach around 200% extra, and after that take it only when blue tier passives appear. When it comes to negative effects, this build doesn't focus on them that much. Obviously our top priority is poison, so we want to take poison on hit and poison on crit as many times as possible, because each level makes us apply more stacks at once. Since we only care about amount of poison stacks, not the damage of them, ignore poison damage, poison frequency, and poison instant damage. Other than that, we want access to Disarray, for which we take Disarray on hit once. 1 point will be enough to reach hard cap of 200 stacks, so ignore it after. Disarray gives us quite big bonus to damage, and we also use it to get access to Disarray to Disoriented synergy, which is another big damage multiplier. On top of that, we have access to bleed on hit, thanks to Flurry. We don't care about bleed, so ignore it entirely. Legionnaire Ascension is actually very good, even in Titan Hunt. We can trigger it relatively fast, even without white passives. Early on it boosts our clear speed by a lot, and in that game it gives a nice damage bonus. Take both green and blue tier passives for it. While we don't care about extra armor from green passives, taking them 5 times will remove them from passive pool. Although we usually have so many rerolls available that just ignoring them will also work, so your choice. For the synergies outside of the ones that come from Titans, we won't be using any of them in this build. Only synergy you will be able to find is Poison to Doom. Don't take it, not only it's useless, it would also add even more useless Doom passives. I already mentioned things that we banish in various parts of this guide, so let me remind you what exactly do we banish. With our banishes we want to focus on removing useless passives that will delete as many different passives at once, most importantly green and blue tier ones. This gives us much higher chance to find poison on hit and poison on crit passives. This is why we banish useless passive to all of our skills, as it will remove between 2 to 4 passives each. For Chaos Bolt we banish damage and multicast. For Flurry we banish damage and area of effect. And for Pestilence we banish attack speed. On top of that, we get rid of the less useful offensive stat passives, meaning we banish regular damage with Leviathan and area effect. And from the defensive stats, we banish armor and block, because if we don't get hit, they are useless, and of course the enemies penetrate 90% of those. This results in removing 10 green passives, 10 blue passives, 2 purple passives and 1 legendary passive. Okay, so now that we know how the build works, what to take, what to ignore and so on, time for another very important aspect, which are Titans and their passives. Order of them is quite important. You can shuffle them, just remember that you can't go for same Titan twice in a row. And passives we take from the Titans are even more important. So I recommend leaving at least 5 to 10 rerolls for each Titan to make sure we get the passive we are looking for, and we can roll for a specific Titan as our next cycle. So the first Titan on the list is Midorak the Beetle, from which we want to take a chance to gain Colossal each time we apply Bristle. This is the reason why we want to take Advanced Tactics rune. While a lot of extra area effect from this power is nice, this is not the main reason we want to take it. The second Titan we go to is Mezahead, aka the Scorpion, and we take power that allows us to spawn Sunstorms from Colossal stacks. These Sunstorms not only will provide us with Dazed, which is extra source of crit chance, it also provides a lot of extra hits that can apply poison thanks to poison on hit and poison on crit passives. Third Titan on the list is Midorak the Beetle again, from which we take Exposed to Radiance synergy. Since only our catapults apply Exposed, only they are able to generate Radiance. At first it will barely do anything, but later on Radiance will apply Fragility on hit, which is very good damage multiplier, increasing our damage by another 3 times. And fourth Titan we go for is Saruanak the Spider, from which we take Disarray to the Disoriented synergy. Disoriented provides 1% more crit damage for each stack, so it's another 3 times more damage for the build. After beating 4th Titan, we go to the Void King realm. From the Void Hunter, the mini-boss before the King, we take 120% cast frequency passive, reducing cooldown of Chaos Bolt even further. And from the Void King himself, we take a chance to apply Wound on crit. Wound is unique negative effect, which gives us 50% chance to apply double stacks of any other negative effect on the target, including poison stacks, which are main focus of this build, resulting in 50% more DPS on average. 6th Titan we go for is Broken, aka the Lizard, from which we take Shattered on hit power. Shattered reduce armor of enemies by fixed amount. For Titan Hunt and the stack is hard cap, so minus 200 armor on enemies. This means the power of it is directly related to how much armor enemies have, so the deeper we are, the weaker it gets. However, later on we use it for another Titan power, so it's always useful. 7th Titan are Revolt and Valkage Kobolds, from which we want to take Shattered to Prowess synergy. This is the reason why Shattered is still useful even later in the game. Later on we are able to reach 800 plus stacks of Prowess, giving us 800% extra damage. 8th Titan on the list is Midorak the Beetle once again, from which we want to take chance to gain aptitude each time we crit. With the amount of hits this build has, in late game we can reach 800 or more stacks of aptitude, and since each stack gives 2% extra, this means 1600 extra crit damage, giving us huge boost to overall DPS. And at this point we got all key elements of the build, we got all buffs and debuffs, so now we'll focus on scaling further our main mechanics of this build. Like I mentioned before, we have 100% chance to trigger Chaotic, but we can scale it further with passive from Mushroom. And on top of that, our main damage dealer, Pestilence, has Devastating trait, thanks to one of the runes, which also can be scaled further, thanks to passive from Kobold Twins. So for the remaining Titans, we'll be running Mushroom and Twins. So 9th Titan we go for our Revolt and Valkage again, and we take Potency of Devastating trait for the first time. This will result in, since Devastating gives us triple damage, 100% extra potency is pretty much another 3 times more. So we go from 3 times to 6 times, then 9 times, then 12 times and so on. We also want to take this power from 11th Titan, 13th Titan, 15th Titan, 17th Titan, 19th Titan, 21st Titan, 23rd Titan, and 25th Titan, taking it 9 times in total. And 10th Titan we go for is Velipox the Mushroom, from which we take 50% more chance to trigger Chaotic. Since Chaos Bolt has 100% chance to trigger it, it's pretty much plus 50% to chance to trigger Chaotic. Chaotic, same like skill chains, can go over 100% and will just trigger multiple times at once. We also want to take this passive from 12th Titan, 14th Titan, 16th Titan, 18th Titan, 20th Titan, 22nd Titan, and 24th Titan, taking it 8 times in total. And 26th Titan is the last one we will be killing. Big Spider, because its small arena combined with chain mechanic of Pestilence results in faster kill than if we would go for different Titan. With after killing it, as at this point Titans start to take too long to kill to be worth farming further. Alright, so that's all information related to the build. Hopefully I explained it well enough that you are able to follow it. If you don't understand something about the build or have trouble with a specific part of it, let me know in the comments, I'll try to help you. I thought to talk about everything in my guides, but there is a lot of things in those builds, so it's easy to forget about some less important parts, and it's possible that I forgot about something. You can also watch the full run of the build in the video I posted yesterday. I put link to it in the video description as well. So I hope that this build will help you with farming materials, or maybe you'll learn something that will help you in creating your own builds. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Have a good day, bye bye.